Meanwhile, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has arrived in Saudi Arabia at the start of a two-day tour of the Gulf. Germany is seeking new energy partnerships after the loss of Russian oil and gas supplies.
Germany needs gas to heat homes and to fuel industrial production. Russia's decision to cut gas supplies means the search is on for alternative sources. That's why it's looking to the mineral-rich countries of Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
The Gulf states do have ample reserves in natural gas. It's quite cheap compared to other sources. And they are very, very trained and experienced in exporting that gas.
Liquefied natural gas, or LNG, will be vital in meeting Germany's energy needs. Qatar has plenty, but there's a problem.
Qatar in particular is a country that is known to be mostly interested in reliable and profitable business relations. Qatar is less interested in being the guy to fill the gap, but eventually Qatar is interested to become a long-term supplier for Germany.
Committing to long-term contracts is unattractive because Germany is transitioning away from fossil fuels. For that reason, Saudi Arabia might be a more promising partner. At the moment, it requires gas mainly for its own domestic use, but the Saudi government has set a target of doubling gas production by 2030, yet political sensitivities could prevent a deal.
Saudi Arabia might demand Germany to loosen or perhaps even to remove its arms export ban that Germany introduced, particularly with regard to the Yemen war.
That could leave the United Arab Emirates as the most likely partner for a gas deal. The UAE might be willing to offer Germany short-term gas contracts. Here, the difficulty is that the infrastructure to export LNG does not yet exist.
These LNG export plants, they need about 3 to 5 years to be built. So we know how the market is going to look like up to 2025. And the problem is that there is not that much additional LNG export capacity which is going to come to the market. So the market is going to remain tight.
Germany currently has no LNG terminals. 5 are planned, but until they're ready, it will be dependent on European neighbours. With that, prices are likely to stay high, and Germany might find itself making political concessions to others in order to satisfy its energy needs.
For more, I'm joined by DW political correspondent Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber. Ben, how difficult a political balancing act is the Chancellor facing in Saudi Arabia?
It is indeed a very difficult thing that they have to somehow manage. Of course, government officials have been telling us that human rights issues will be addressed during this trip in the 3 countries, but it's still striking to see the German Chancellor shaking hands with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who has been accused by US officials of ordering the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, of a journalist, a few years ago. But the relationship between the West and Saudi Arabia has been normalizing over the past month. We see many leaders visiting the country. We had French President Emmanuel Macron, we had US President Joe Biden, and that was interesting because only a few years ago he said that he would make sure to treat Saudi Arabia as a pariah state. And then he even had a fist bump with the Crown Prince. So that is something that many have been criticizing, also criticizing with this trip. And if we look at Germany, there's also another big topic that is arms embargo, an arms embargo that they imposed after the war in Yemen, also what happened to Jamal Khashoggi. And the question that we just heard there, what would Berlin do if Riyadh also says this is a requirement for us to lift the embargo? That's something that I asked German officials yesterday and they dodged the question. So it definitely shows how difficult this trip is, but also how important it is for Germany to find additional partners. Now they want to turn their backs on Russia energy supplies.
What else is on the agenda on this Gulf tour?
So the focus will be energy, but the business delegation that is joining the Chancellor is not only in the area of energy, it's also air and space fair, it's also engineering. So we have a very big delegation. He will then travel to the United Arab Emirates. He will continue his trip to Qatar, a country that the Vice Chancellor and Economy Minister Robert Habeck visited earlier this year. And that's where he wants to sign this deal of liquefied natural gas, these LNG terminals that Chancellor Scholz has spoken about several times. They'll have several meetings with officials there. There will be no press briefing at all. Also, no opportunity for the press to ask them what they can do. The focus will be on energy to see how they can work. Robert Habeck, the Vice Chancellor, sounded pretty confident that there will be new deals now. But of course, it is a difficult topic for them. And there have been human rights organizations also politicians belonging to the opposition saying that he should raise this issue. Also, when we look at Qatar, where the World Soccer World Cup will happen in November. So definitely a difficult trip for them. 2-day trip. Let's see what this partnerships will look like.
A busy German chancellor over the course of the next few days, and a consequential trip at that. That's DW's Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber. Many thanks.